Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It was not a very good weekend, however, for the Iranian regime. You may have seen the footage by now, the massive explosions that rocked the Iranian port of Bandar Abbas in southern Iran on Saturday. Now, folks, these were scenes reminiscent of that 2020 blast at the Beirut port. And in that case, in Beirut, remember, tons of ammonium nitrate, a chemical substance that was being stored in the port, probably by Hezbollah, Iran's proxy, went up in flames. There was a literal mushroom cloud over the city of Beirut. Well, we had similar scenes of devastation in Bandar Abbas, Iran. It's Iran's largest port, by the way. On Saturday, at least 46 people, as I come to you on Monday afternoon, at least 46 people were killed in this massive blast. Over 1,000 more injured. And again, much like in Beirut 5 years ago, the culprit seems to be a chemical substance, not any chemical substance, but one that is used in missile components, and one that was supplied by the communist regime in Beijing. Now, the Iranian regime, surprise, surprise, is denying that there was any kind of chemical substance involved in this. But folks, some facts for you, just straight off my phone. I'll quote it for you directly from the AP just today. The shipments were from China, and they were a chemical used. 2 vessels have traveled from China to Iran in the past few months. Ammonium perchlorate from China sent to Iran, and surprise, surprise, this chemical is used to make solid propellant for rockets, and it was going to be used reportedly to replenish Iran's missile stockpiles that were depleted during its war, well, the war of its proxies against Israel over the past year and a half, and of course, by Iran's own ballistic missile attacks against Israel. And don't disregard October 26, 2024, folks, when Israel struck Iran's ballistic missile stockpiles in a massive raid that also struck a secretive Iranian nuclear site and which practically destroyed Iran's air defenses. Add it all up, the Iranian regime has been licking its wounds for months, and now again, it's trying to replenish its stockpiles. But along the way, there seems to be a bit of a mistake, because there was a massive, deadly explosion on Saturday. Now, what exactly happened? We're not quite sure, of course. Some are pointing the finger at Israel already. Israel denies any involvement. One member of the Iranian parliament is saying the Israelis did it. Again, Israel says we had nothing to do with it. But Iran is not putting forward a reason so far. And look, the timing is very interesting, needless to say. It occurred on Saturday, April 26th, on the very same day that the Iranian regime and the Trump administration were conducting a 3rd round of nuclear talks in Oman. But again, Israel is not going to claim any responsibility in this, and Iran is now left once again licking its wounds. And this seems to be a major event, folks, on 2 levels. Number one, obviously, it was a mass casualty event. Number 2, it appears to put a dent in Iran's attempts, again, to replenish its ballistic missile stockpile. And number 3, will the likes of China be none too happy with Iran that Chinese involvement here is exposed? I mean, this has been reported on in previous months, but now it's really exposed for all the world to see. Why is the regime in Beijing supplying the regime in Tehran with chemicals to be used in building ballistic missiles? I'll tell you why. It's a very simple reason, because China and Iran, as we've laid out here on the show over the months, are part of what I call the Gathering Storm Coalition. The charter members, China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea, a gathering storm against America, where I'm sitting right now, Israel, and the free world writ large. And if you had any doubt about that, number one, China a few years ago signed a 25-year cooperation deal with Iran. That's number one. Number 2, Russia and Iran have essentially a formal defense arrangement, which brings me to the other big item of news from over the weekend. Russia just announced on Friday, April 25th, that it will build a new nuclear plant for Iran. Now, that doesn't seem like a good thing. Russia helped build the Bushehr, one of Iran's major nuclear reactors, the Bushehr nuclear reactor a few years ago. And now Vladimir Putin's regime is saying, hey, we're going to help them build another one. So you've got Iran and Russia cleaving more closely together, Iran and China, of course, and you have North Korea always lurking and working with Russia on the battlefield, supplying troops in the Russia-Ukraine war. So the Gathering Storm coalition is on the march. I speak from an American perspective here in this case. Thank God we have strong leadership back in the White House. Could you imagine a President Kamala Harris trying to deal with this gathering storm? I don't think it would have gone too well, but the reality is that there are major challenges at every turn, and Iran sees, again, folks, don't be surprised by Iran cleaving closer to nation states like Russia and China. They see that the Ring of Fire strategy, arming and funding and supporting these proxies, only got them so far. That Ring of Fire has essentially collapsed. In many ways, it's now a smoldering heap of ruins. And Iran is saying, okay, the Ring of Fire strategy, at the end of the day, it caused Israel a lot of headaches. It caused the Americans a lot of headaches. But at the end of the day, it didn't work. Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis severely weakened. Assad is gone in Syria. What we need to do, this is from the Iranian perspective, is to get closer to nation states, to nuclear powers like China and like Russia, not to mention Turkey, which is not a nuclear power, which I'm sure would love to be a part of that club as well. I think it has prophetic implications without a doubt in the long term, this Gathering Storm coalition. You think of the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39, that talk about a latter days coalition coming against Israel. And Turkey and Iran, most prophecy scholars agree, hey, they're in it. Many say, no, Russia won't be a part of it. Others say Russia absolutely will be a part of it. So it's very interesting to see Russia, Iran, and Turkey come so closely together in these Bible times in which we're living right now. Speaking of which, if you like what you're hearing, breaking news, current events, mainly from the Middle East, but we span the entire globe. And from an unapologetically biblical perspective, be sure to subscribe and click notification bells so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Folks, it's hard to believe, but we passed the 1 million subscriber mark just a little while ago. We believe God has even better things in store for this channel for such a time as this. Again, not for our glory, but for His. We're bringing a message of truth in a time where truth is at a premium. Speaking of which, Hezbollah, not exactly known for their forthrightness, needless to say. As I mentioned a minute ago, Hezbollah has been licking its wounds for the past several months, as Israel has quite literally smashed the world's most dangerous terrorist organization. I mean, folks, prior to September 2024, when Israel really unleashed hell on Hezbollah, Iran's chief proxy, of course, you could say there was no terrorist entity stronger than Hezbollah. Hezbollah had a larger arsenal and more foot soldiers than some nation states in the Middle East. That's all out the window now. After Israel, over the course of the fall 2024, smashed Hezbollah at every turn. But now Hezbollah still is trying to rearm where it can and when it can. And Israel, which has superior intelligence in Lebanon, Hezbollah's home base, is saying not so fast. And Israel, once again over the weekend, carried out a pretty significant airstrike just yesterday, as a matter of fact, in Beirut. Here's some of the details. Israel conducted an airstrike on Beirut's southern suburbs, a Hezbollah stronghold, targeting a building it claimed was used by Hezbollah and was storing precision-guided missiles, according to Israel. Now, one of the main reasons, I'd argue the main reason, Israel carried out so many airstrikes in Syria over the years was to stop the flow of precision-guided missiles from traveling from Iran overland into Syria by air, even on passenger planes at times, but overland as well, through Syria. Syria was the transit point onto Lebanon and into the hands of Hezbollah. You might say, why is that such a big deal? What's the problem with precision-guided missiles? Well, PGMs, that's what we call them for short. Folks, they do exactly what their name says. They're designed to hit targets with greater accuracy and greater precision. These are not rockets fired haphazardly. These are precision-guided missiles that will hit a target again, and a sensitive target like, say, God forbid, Ben Gurion Airport, Jerusalem, the Dimona nuclear plant with accuracy. Obviously, that's a red line and a non-starter for Israel. So anytime that Israel gets a whiff of precision-guided missiles, whether in Syria or Lebanon, and especially precision-guided missiles wielded by the demonic death cult known as Hezbollah, guess what? Israel is going to act. That's exactly what Israel did yesterday in Beirut. And every time Hezbollah rears its head, Israel is striking. It's not giving Hezbollah a moment's rest. And that's how things need to remain. And Israel has established those buffer zones we've talked about in Lebanon, in Syria, in Gaza. The lessons of October 7th, ladies and gentlemen, have been internalized deeply by the Israeli government, the Israeli military, and the people of Israel. And Israel is going on the offensive. They're being proactive, not reactive, anytime a threat rears its head. And I think it's wonderful to see. And I think that will apply to Iran's nuclear weapons program as well. We've been talking about that a bunch. Stay tuned, more to come there. But thanks for joining us. Hey, keep it all in prayer. In these tumultuous Bible times with chess pieces moving on the board, keep it all in prayer. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.